Esther was a beautiful and hardworking woman. She was 32 years old, and even though she had a good job, a car, her own apartment, and a soft-spoken nature, her love life was a big mess. All her friends were either married or engaged, and some were even on baby number 2. But Esther had just come out of a relationship with a man whom she gave money to buy a car, only for him to use the same car to carry another woman to the beach. So, when she met Timini on Facebook, it felt like a fresh, cool breeze after suffering under the hot sun. He was polite, spoke gently, loved books, and he always ended his chats with, "Stay safe, beautiful." Esther smiled like a schoolgirl every time he sent her a voice note, and he even prayed for her once, a whole man praying for her. She was done for. However, there was one strange thing about Timini. Esther noticed that in all of his pictures, he was always wearing a face mask, not just in outdoor photos or group pictures, but even in selfies, on Instagram, on WhatsApp, even on his birthday posts, the mask was there. Blue mask, black mask, sometimes cloth mask, but never his bare face, not for once. At first, Esther thought it was just a fashion thing. Maybe he was shy, or maybe he had bad teeth, and she didn't want to judge him, especially because everything else about him was so perfect. He was caring, respectful, and always asked about her day. The day she asked him about the mask, he had calmly explained to her, "Babe, I just have social anxiety. I am not really a photo person. I don't like people knowing too much about me." Esther believed him, but her best friend Chioma was not buying it at all. "Esther, for 3 months, you've not seen his full face before?" Chioma asked one night during a sleepover. "You need to open your eyes before you open your heart too. Why do I feel like that man is a community man? I mean, a committee chairman for communal living." But Esther waved her off. "Please, Chioma, don't start. Not every man has to be loud and all over social media. He's private and deep. You people are just not used to quiet men." Another friend, Efe, warned her, "This one is more than private too. I believe he's hiding from somebody. Either he's married or he's wanted for money haste." They all laughed, but Esther rolled her eyes. Truthfully, she was tired of dating loud and show-off men who cheated on her in daylight. Timini was different, and she loved him more for that. One night, while they were chatting, she asked him again, "Baby, don't be angry, but why don't you ever post your real face? Even on video calls, you always put the camera off." Well, Timini replied with a long voice note. He said, "Babe, I didn't want to tell you this early, but when I was younger, I had a bad experience. Someone took my picture and used it to deceive people into giving him money. I have had issues with trust since then. Even my last relationship ended because the girl exposed my private life online. Since then, I don't like showing my face anyhow. I just want someone who will love me for my soul and not for my face." Esther listened to the voice notes again and again, and it made her cry. She replied, "It's okay, baby. I understand. I will love you with or without the mask." Chioma was furious when she found out. "Esther, so because he gave one emotional story, you forgot your common sense? Okay, now, continue." Well, Esther was gone. She started falling deeper, and the more her friends warned her, the more she defended him. Eventually, after weeks of late night calls, poetry texts, and promises of forever, Timini asked her out for dinner. "I want to see you, babe. Let's meet at a quiet place. No crowd. I want our first moment to be special." On that day, Esther wore her best dress. She shaved her legs and even used perfume in places where perfume should not enter. She arrived at the fancy restaurant early and waited at the corner table he had chosen. It was a dimly lit place and it felt like a dream when he walked in. Timini was tall, well-dressed and walked with confident steps, but he was still wearing a black face mask. Esther's heart skipped. She smiled, stood up and hugged him. But it was awkward, as if she was hugging a medical worker during COVID. Well, she didn't care. He ordered food. They talked and he held her hand. But all through dinner, the mark still stayed on. He even used a straw to sip his smoothie through the side. After that candlelight dinner, Esther was completely sold. Even though she still hadn't seen Timini's full face, she had seen his heart. At least, that was what she told herself. He was gentle, polite, and always called her my peace in a noisy world. Which woman wouldn't melt? As time went on, Timini started coming to her compound once in a while, but only at night. He would take her unawares and send a message like, "I'm outside, babe." And Esther would immediately rush out to welcome her COVID-19 ambassador. Meanwhile, her friends refused to allow Esther to sink in her delusion, and they began to gather receipts. They wanted to find out who this mass crusader really was, and so they started with social media. Efe said, "This man no fit hide from me. I have dated 3 DJs and 1 video editor. I know where to check." They dug through Timini's tagged photos, and yes, in most of them, he was wearing his signature face mask. But in one blurry birthday photo from last year, they spotted something, a side profile which showed only the edge of his face, just the jawline and part of his cheek. But it was enough. They zoomed the image, dissected it and argued. Chioma screamed, "Wait! This jaw looks like that guy that is always commenting yummy under random girls' pictures on Facebook." Efe's eyes widened. Timini Isikilu, that's his name. Esther told me his son name one day by mistake. Isikilu. They searched again and they found several people under the same name. But after they went through the profiles one by one, they zeroed down to a Facebook account with old posts and a picture from 2017 that matched the blurry image they had of Timini. In this picture, he wasn't wearing a mask, but he was holding hands with a woman and carrying a toddler. Chioma stared at the photo and asked, "What if he's married?" Efe replied, "Or what if he's more than married?" Back at Esther's house, she was preparing jollof rice with goat's meat for Timini when Chioma barged in. "Esther, we need to talk." Esther frowned. "Not now, Chioma. My baby is coming." "Your baby has a baby," Efe shouted from behind. Esther turned slowly. "What did you just say?" Chioma brought out her phone and showed her. "We found his Facebook. We found a picture, Esther. Your baby has a family." Esther looked at the phone. Then she looked at her pots. Then she sat on the floor. But after 5 minutes, she stood up and said, "That could be his cousin. You people are just jealous." Efe was shocked. "So you are choosing delusion over evidence?" Esther hissed. "He is a good man. He reads the Bible. He even prays for me sometimes. You people just don't want me to be happy. Leave me alone." The girls gave up. But they weren't done. A few days later, Chioma's male friend at a salon called. "I saw your friend's Max's boyfriend today. He came in for a haircut." Chioma asked, "Did he remove the mask?" The friend laughed. "Remove care. He just lifted it small to shave his beard and quickly covered it again like someone who is running from EFCC." But here was the strangest part. The friend told Chioma that another woman came with with him. This woman didn't speak much, but she held his phone, paid for the haircut, and waited like it was normal. She behaved like the boss, the friend said. She even called him sweetheart. When Chioma told Esther this new update, Esther started crying. But it wasn't tears of anger. Nope, it was tears of love. She was emotional. That woman is probably his sister, or maybe his mentor. He's not good with phones, so maybe she was helping him hold them. You people always want to paint him bad. Can't you just leave him alone for me? Chioma grabbed her head in frustration. Esther, can't you see that this Timini is a man of the people, for the people, and inside the people, he's not a mystery, he's a ministry. But it was too late for Esther to reason properly because Timini had already started talking about marriage, and soon he proposed. This was the first time a man would be proposing marriage to Esther. It happened one Sunday night. He knelt down in her sitting room, still wearing the face mask, and brought out a ring. I want to do forever with you, Esther. No more distance, just you and me. And at that moment, Esther forgot everything. The photos, the rumors, the suspicions, and she screamed, "Yes, yes, I will marry you." After the proposal, everything started to move even faster. Esther didn't waste time to choose her wedding gown. She picked her colors, wine and gold, booked a makeup artist, and even paid for the wedding hall decoration before her introduction. She kept saying, if you love someone, you don't need to waste time. What are you waiting for? She also made it clear that it would be a classy wedding. There would be no noise or drama, just love and a man in a face mask. Her friends were exhausted by now. They had warned her and they had begged her, but she refused. So now they just followed her like backup dancers, watching in silence and waiting for the mask to fall, physically or spiritually. Then the bridal shower came. It was a small but beautiful setup at a private lounge. Esther wore a short white dress with bride-to-be written in glitter across her chest. Her makeup was perfect and her heart was overjoyed. I can't wait to be Mrs. Isikilu. Her girls clapped and cheered. Even Chioma and Efe managed to smile, but in their hearts, they were praying for the scales to fall off their friends' eyes. Well, they didn't know that fire was already on the way because 30 minutes into the party, a woman walked in. She was dark-skinned, tall and heavily pregnant. Her stomach entered the room before she did. She wore a simple black gown and her feet were swollen from walking. She didn't even look like she came to party. She looked around, spotted Esther and walked straight to her. Esther stopped dancing as she saw her. The woman stood still, looked at her belly, then at Esther's face and said, I didn't come to fight. I came to warn you. Don't marry Timini. That man is not who you think he is. Everybody froze and the music stopped. Esther blinked. I'm sorry. What did you say? The woman placed her hand on her belly and continued. My name is Sheila and I'm pregnant for your fiancé. The room screamed. Somebody dropped a wine glass. One auntie even shouted, blood of Jesus. Efe and Chioma looked at each other and heaved a sigh of relief. Finally, Esther stood still like a statue in National Museum. She didn't move. She was struggling to breathe. Sheila continued. We've been together for 2 years. We met at his friend's wedding. I didn't even know he was seeing someone else until a friend told me about it. That was why I came here. Not to fight you, but to save you. Esther finally found her voice. Timini said he was single. He said he had social anxiety. Sheila laughed sadly. That man has social energy for 5 people or even more. This is our baby and it is not the first one. For your information, I lost the first pregnancy last year. You can ask him. Esther screamed, "You are lying. He told me his ex was crazy, that she was obsessed with him. He said he only helped her once." Sheila pulled out her phone. "Do you want to see our chats, our pictures, or maybe the video of him singing for the baby to kick?" Now, that was it. Esther's legs failed her. She sat down slowly on the floor like a bag of fufu sliding off a motorcycle. Her friends gathered around her, but nobody knew what to say. Sheila wiped her eyes and added one last word before leaving. "Love is blind, yes, but even blindness can hear. You can choose to listen." With that, she walked out. Esther sat on the floor crying and looking like a TV character in a sad Nigerian movie. When she got home that night, she didn't eat or bathe. She just sat on her bed playing one voice note over and over again. "I just want you to trust me, babe. I may not be perfect, but I will never hurt you." The voice of Timini, the man of many masks and probably many women. The next day, Chioma and Efe came to visit her with jollof and suya, but she didn't touch it. She just kept saying one thing. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe Sheila was lying. Maybe Timini is just misunderstood. Chioma nearly broke her phone in anger. "Esther, are you that desperate? How many maybes will it take for you to wake up? Even your guardian angel is confused on your behalf at this point." Efe added, "Okay, if you still think he's innocent, let us follow him just to confirm." Esther didn't answer, but the next day, Chioma texted her. "He told you he was traveling for work, right? Well, let's see where this work is." That morning, Chioma borrowed her uncle's car and dressed like a Danfo conductor, while Efe came with a mini spy camera. "If this man is hiding anything, I will catch him in 4K. Esther didn't join them, but she waited at home shaking like pap on fire. Chioma and Efe parked a street away from the estate Timini said he lived in, and then they saw him come out around 9 a.m. still wearing the infamous black face mask like a superhero nobody asked for. He entered his Toyota Camry and drove off. The girls followed. His first stop was in a quiet street in Ikeja. Timini pulled into a compound and honked. Suddenly, a little boy came running out and shouted, "Daddy!" Chioma nearly crashed into a tree. A woman came out next, holding a towel and smiling. She kissed his cheek. Timini then gave her a shopping bag. Efe looked on in shock. "So, this one is baby mama number one." They waited for 30 minutes before he came out again and drove off. He drove all the way to Surulere. This time, he didn't honk. He just parked quietly and walked in like someone with a key. 10 minutes later, a different woman came out with him, laughing and adjusting his shirt. She looked older and hugged him like someone who didn't believe she could get such a man to love her. Chioma shook her head. "This one must be Madam Main girlfriend. See how she's hugging and holding him with confidence." They even kissed on the lips. Efe was sweating by now. This man is successfully playing relationship football. See how he's dribbling women left, right, and center. Well, if the first two were bad, then the third was about to be pure madness. They followed Timini again, this time to Ikorodu. It was a long drive through a dusty road, and Timini didn't even look tired. The man had enough strength to run around town than a politician campaigning for election. At the third house, something strange happened. An elderly woman opened the gate and hugged him tightly. Chioma screamed in the car. "Ah, another woman! This one even looks like his grandma." The grandma kissed his forehead and tapped his buttocks. Timini laughed and pulled down his mask just a little. Chioma grabbed Efe's shoulder. Wait, was that his face? They saw him kiss the woman's hand before walking in. Their mouths hung open in shock. 3 women, 3 homes, only 1 man, and still no one knew what he really looked like. That evening, they returned to Esther's house, played the recordings, and showed her the pictures. They described everything: the boy, the women, the kisses, and even the bum spank. Esther sat on the floor covering her mouth. "So, he's not shy?" "He said his anxiety," Efe replied. "No, my dear, he's not socially anxious. So, in fact, he's socially available, very available nationwide." Esther burst into tears, but this time, it wasn't just heartbreak. It was embarrassment, shock, and anger all rolled into one. Then, she stood up slowly, wiped her eyes, and said, "He said he would finally take off the mask at the pre-wedding photo shoot. Well, he's about to be unmasked in public." The wedding was still on the calendar, but not in Esther's heart. After everything she had seen, the baby mama and the main girlfriend, she knew the marriage was dead before it even began. But instead of cancelling it quietly, she decided to play along. She smiled and responded to his messages as usual. Timini had told Esther his plan for the pre-wedding shoots. "We'll take 1 photo without my mask, just 1. Then I will delete it immediately. I just want to be free with you." Esther smiled. "Of course, love, I understand." They went to a nice studio in Lekki. But unknown to Timini, the photographer was actually Chioma's cousin, and the whole place had been wired with hidden cameras. Timini walked in wearing a wine-colored native outfit and, of course, his black mask. "Can we now do one without it?" Esther asked sweetly. Timini hesitated. He looked around and then slowly he pulled the mask down. Chioma screamed quietly in the control room. "Oh my God, that is him. He has a face." Efe shrugged. "And it's not even a bad face. So what was he hiding? How can someone just be allergic to honesty?" The camera clicked and the photo was taken. On the wedding day, the hall was full and everything was ready. Esther was dressed in her white gown. She had sold her shame by now and was ready to do anything to expose the community tourists to the world, no matter what it would take. That was the main reason she still went on with the wedding plans. Finally, Timini arrived still wearing his signature black face mask. As the officiating pastor cleared his throat to begin, Esther raised her hand. "Before we start, I have a gift for my husband-to-be, something from the heart." A large projector screen came down. The lights went off and suddenly a video started playing. It showed scenes of House 1 where the little boy ran out and shouted, "Daddy!" House 2 where the older girlfriend hugged him at the gate. House 3 when the grandma tapped his buttock, and then the pre-wedding photo of Timini without his mask. The hall went silent and then somebody in the back shouted, "Yay! So this is his real face?" Esther turned to him and said, "You are a shameless coward. You had to be in a mask to be able to get women to yourself." Timini tried to explain. "It's not what it looks like. I was. But he hadn't even finished talking when he was surrounded, not by bodyguards, but by angry exes. Sheila, the pregnant woman from the bridal shower, showed up again, this time with 2 more women. One of them slapped Timini with a wedding invitation she had picked up. Another one shouted at him, "So, I am number 5? They dragged and tore him apart, while the wedding guests sat back and watched the blockbuster to their satisfaction. As for Esther, she walked out like the queen that she was, accompanied by her 2 friends who kept singing behind her. Esther is queen, Esther is queen. Thank you for watching the story. Kindly share your thoughts about the story with me in the comment section. Give the story a thumbs up and share the story out with your loved ones. Subscribe to this channel for more interesting stories. Thank you and remain blessed.